take the analogy that I did earlier with the food. I mix sounds, so I can hear a sound. I hear the music is made out of sounds, and the sounds are sounds and lengths, if you want. The rhythm is the length of the sounds, and the sounds have a pitch. So you can modulate both, and you just construct it, and you like you would do with I think that Stravinsky made this example with a sculpture. It's a construction that you. On the fact that I can hear the sound in my head, it's not the problem. It's not been for 30 years. It's the imagination. What should come next?
Yeah.
The research for perfection, for the only notes that it could be. That's a real difficulty. Apart from the technical difficulty of that, without that you cannot compose, because if you cannot hear because you basically. You judge the thing according to the result, but you've got to be able to imagine the result. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to do it.
Yeah.
So it's like sort of if you were, it's like science. It's like if you were trying to cook a new recipe as a cook, and I don't know, I'm not a cook, but I like cooking, but not professionally. That you were trying some ingredients together. That was never done by anyone before. You imagine that it would be a certain result, and then you do it, and it's not exactly what you like, so you put it in the bin, and then you restart. That's what you do when you create music. You try different possibilities, and it's why sort of theoretically you could write a very, very basic, something that works. A 1 minute piece, you could write it in 2 minutes. But the truth is that writing a 1 minute piece that is very meaningful will take hours on hours, because you try to find the. Well, it's a funny thing. You can feel it when it's perfect and when it's the only way that it can be.
For me, it's like, I can't think, where do you start, so it's like a blank canvas. So when, at what age did you think, or did you get these inspirations, that you started thinking, oh, these sounds I want to put down and compose?
Well, I know that I suppose that there's no... because my dad is a very great artist, and he was a child prodigy. So it means that by the time he was 10 years old, he had done hundreds, if not probably thousands, of oil paintings or something like that. He was very, very, very precocious. But when we talk about creation, because he was my biggest teacher. Because it's creation, it's creation. So in a way, a composer is closer to a painter than he would be from a performer, because performers are not creators. They are like actors to the person that writes the play, and it's a different thing. But in his case, sort of, I think that even if sort of we say sometimes that it's. If you are a great artist, you don't do it because you like doing it. That's type of amateur type of thing, sort of. You just do it and you like doing it. Artists don't do it that way. they don't care so much about the process necessarily, but about the result. That's what you want, and you are willing to. Depending on the personality of who you are, some people suffer during the process of creation, and other people enjoy it more or less. But everyone has in common that what is really counts, it's not the process, is what you get at the end. In my case, maybe my own psychology, when I started to compose, even if I was 6, I wanted to be like Beethoven. It was not I like composing. I want to be that. I want to create pieces that are that great. That's the thing that I most admire. I wanted to be able to do myself, even if it means that you love it, but it's not. It's not just I like to do that activity. If I want to get that result, and that's the goal. But again, that's me. There's something in common in all great art, but there are, which is sort of this thing that the goal is important and not the process. That is common whether you read for. Well, it's easier to read it from the point of view of writers, because that's what they do, they write. So when you read letters of people that were great writers, you can see clearly that what they care is the result. And you can see from letters from composers, but it's more difficult because composers compose, they don't write letters. But we don't express ourselves, that's not our medium. So I think that it's that's an important thing.
But are you patient? I mean, when you start writing, and you said you don't enjoy the process necessarily, but the end result. But are you patient during the process?
It's difficult to say. I enjoy the process. It's not. It's a very. If I write, I'll give you an example because that's easier.
Okay,
if I write, let's say, a large piece, like a concerto, or let's say one of the last concertos that I wrote was a concerto for oboe. It was premiered 6 months ago. 20 minutes of music. So probably, I think it took me close to 400 hours of work.
Wow.
400 hours of work, it's a lot.
Wow. Yeah.
It's like that because basically you, apart from the start when you are the white page, and then it's always the same mystery, but let's say that you've done the first minute of music, and the first minute of music is great. It's not going to be, you are going to, I think it's a process of advancing by things that are, suddenly there's a burst and you get a few more seconds or one more minute of music that is, and then you get stuck. And you will always get stuck, and try to find the solution to get out of there. Sometimes, I think that I enjoy it. Sometimes I don't enjoy it when I get stuck for too long.
Oh, okay.
At the same point, so that sort of once I remember sort of it was because that was particularly painful. It was. Maybe more than 10 years ago. Precisely, I could check. But I had this commission that Vladimir Ashkenazi asked me to write a piece for him and with the Philharmonia Orchestra, and it was maybe 15 years ago. And it was a big deal for me, for my career, because he was one of, the legend of music, and it's one of the biggest orchestras in the world. So I thought, okay, it's as a human being, I thought it's important for my career. It's because in one way, as a composer, that is like a writer, that what counts is not how well known you are doing your lifetime or what happens to you, is what you leave behind. Because most great composers are not recognized during their lifetime. You can be the exception, but it's the exception. But at the end of the day, it's not what you do it for what. Not for the being well known. You do it because you want to create beauty in some way. But you are a human being, so you also care about your career. So I thought I must do well. So I put myself under tremendous pressure, and I'm lucky, and it goes well.